Hi guys, I just wanted to do a really quick video here discussing the tactical and strategic uh, plan really for the new Star Wars The Old Republic Warzone Ancient Hypergates. We've been playing now with Huttball and Civil War and Voidstar and even Novar Coast for many months. There's still people that don't quite get what they should be doing and that make stupid mistakes, but for the most part, people understand how it works, and they know what they should be doing and when they should be doing it. I've been now for a couple of days now, been playing the newest Warzone, Ancient Hypergates, and while I can't claim to know and understand everything about this Warzone, I do think that I, by and large, know enough to be able to make some statements, which I think are fairly important. So what should we be doing? First of all, let's talk about how the Warzone actually works. I have a map here of the Warzone field on which you're playing. As you can see, it is divided into two main sections with a pylon on each side. And the pylons are the capture points. And there's a central chamber, and the central chamber has energy cubes which spawn. It has energy cubes which spawn every once in a while. Now, the way that this Warzone works is as follows. It is run in rounds, unlike other Warzones, which are just, they keep on going. In Ancient Hypergates, it's kind of like innings in baseball, where you have a certain amount of time to score, and then at the end of that inning, the total is tallied up, and that counts toward your permanent score. What it means is, at the beginning of each round, you want to be able to control at least one, if not both, pylons. You get a certain number of points just for controlling the pylon. After you then control the pylon, you get a certain number of points for every kill that you get on the opposing team, as well as for every energy node which you take from center and bring to your pylon. Now let me show you what these pylons look like. I have another image here, which I'm going to bring over here. This is what they look like. You interact with this thing, and once it has been completely captured, it takes 6 seconds. You see a big giant beam of light, green if you control it, red if the other team controls it. Then the other thing is that, as you can see, this is what it looks like from one pylon. You can see straight through to the other side. So this is one pylon. This is the spawn point up here. You can run through center to get to the other side, or you can run up through this little walkway right here to get to the other side. While you're in match, this is the scoreboard, and this is going to show you some pretty, this is going to tell you a lot about the Warzone. This is what the scoreboard looks like. Each round lasts approximately 2 to 3 minutes. This is the timer for the round. Okay? This shows you whether you control the pylon. Red means your enemy controls it. Blue means it's uncontrolled. And green means you control it. It then has the scores. This over here is the total score that you have and is locked in completely. It's not going to change. The bar shows the score that's right here. These lines here, see they're a little ways away, and this one says 711, this one says 104. These show how many points you would accumulate if the round ended right now, what your total point value would be. So say that the round ended right now, this 527 would shoot up to 711, and this would stay 104. Why is this going to stay? Because you only get points for capturing the pylon. I'm going to discuss the relevance of that in a moment. This here, times 5, is the multiplier. You get that many points for every kill, and you get that many points for every energy node which you bring from center to your pylon. In the first round, it's 3. In the second round, it's 4. In the fourth round, it's 5. In the fifth round, it's 6. I've never seen a 6th round. I've never seen this reach time 7, but maybe it is possible. I don't know. What this means is that as the rounds go on, there exists the possibility for very significant comebacks. With a sufficiently good later round, you can very much wipe out a terrible first round or a bad second round. So here are the strategic points which I think are important. Number 1, the single most important thing is to control at least one pylon. This is a big mistake I've seen a lot of people making. The way that the rules are explained is that you get points for capturing energy nodes and bringing them to your pylon, and for kills. This is true. However, you only get points while controlling at least one pylon. You get more points if you control both. So look at this score right here. This team has 527. They have gained enough to reach 711 in this round. If they were to lose control of this pylon, they would lose those points for the time being, and they'd go back to only having 527. If they later recaptured that pylon, they would get those points back. The kind of strategic key here is that controlling at least one pylon is absolutely essential. And defending your pylon that is controlled is the single most important thing to do in the game. It's more important than defending a node on Civil War or defending a node on Novar Coast. If you give up a node on Civil War or Novar Coast, it's possible to get it back. You usually have 7 or 8 minutes potentially to get it back. Depends on how long the war zone goes, how good the other team's doing. You can have a long time. When you lose a pylon in this war zone, Ancient Hypergates, you might have a minute left. At the most, you're going to have 2 minutes or so left. So if the other team comes in, and this is a tactical move that a lot of teams do, is they'll send somebody in stealth, or they'll send a couple of people in stealth to your pylon as the round approaches the end to try to get it back. And to try to steal it from you. And if with 30 seconds left they steal that from you, you're not going to get it back. And you lose all your points for that round. So it's critical to defend your pylon. There should always be at least one person guarding it. You may also wish to try to steal their pylon, but again, you must not overcommit. The penalty for overcommitting and losing what you control is too great in this war zone. So that's the first point. The second point is, when does it matter, the kills and the energy nodes that you're transferring back and forth? When are those important? Those are important in games where we have two teams who each control one pylon. When both teams control one pylon, then that's when the stuff happening in the rest of the map becomes important. Because if both teams control pylons, both teams are getting points, and then the difference is going to be who's transferring the most energy nodes, who's getting the most kills. And so what you must do is defend your pylon at all costs, and while defending your pylon, try to make sure that you win the battle in mid. Try to make sure that you have control of mid, that you're preventing their team from transferring energy back and forth, that you're preventing their team from getting kills. Control of mid is very important in this game too, as long as you are also defending your own pylon. And this means that you need to be aware of things. If their team is not in mid, if it seems like their team is not all by their pylon, where do you think they are? They're coming to yours. So it's important, just like in SWtOR, you're watching to make sure that there's not an excess of your team on one side. You need to make sure that they're not all missing the enemy. You also want to make sure that you're not feeding the other team kills. It's kind of like in League of Legends or Dota or something, where you have to make sure that you get out of there if you're about to die. You want to fight to the death to defend your pylon, for sure. But if you're in mid or if you're somewhere else, it's important that you get away if they're about to kill you so that you don't let them get the points from killing you. I would also say that it seems to me, I'm not quite sure on this, but it seems to me that it's more important to defend the center than it is to transfer energy cubes back and forth. In other words, if your whole team, other than people guarding your pylon, are defending center and are fighting there, and you have healers and tanks, and you're stopping them from capturing energy nodes at mid, and you're stopping them from going back to their pylon, and you're stopping them from getting kills, it seems to me that that's the better move than playing aggressively and trying to go and transfer a lot and trying to go out and get a lot of kills, because just by defending mid, you're preventing them from chaining their objective, going back and forth with energy, and you're also getting a lot of kills. And so you're going to be holding their score back while benefiting your own score. The final thing I would say is that it is very important in this war zone to keep aware of the score situation. For example, let's take a look at this game that this image came from. This red team has 711 points if the round ends right now. They're up by a considerable amount. The wisest tactical decision to make in this situation would be to completely ignore mid, not even to worry about mid, not to worry about their pylon, to bring all 8 people back to their own pylon and defend. As long as the round ends without losing this pylon, they're going to win. They have more than 600 points, which is the victory condition, whichever team reaches 600 points first at the end of a round, or has more points if both teams have reached 600 at the end of a round. And so it's important to pay attention to that. In this case, they already have enough to win. All they have to do is make sure the other team does not prevent them from maintaining control of that pylon. I was in a game recently where we were losing throughout most of the war zone. In the final round, we were able to capture both pylons. And the points that we got from capturing both pylons put us over the top. If we were to end the round holding both, we would have won. Unfortunately, we lost one of them because people were going to center trying to capture energy nodes and trying to get kills and boost the score, even though we were sufficiently far ahead maintaining control of both pylons that we could not lose as long as we kept control of both of them. So that's the third point. Make sure you're aware of the score situation and make sure that you're doing what is necessary based on that. If that means that you have enough to win right now and your opponent is far enough behind they're not going to catch up just by running energy back and forth, make sure that all you're doing is defending your pylon. If you're behind and the other team is in a situation like this, where they're going to capture the winning score, if the round ends with them having one pylon, you need to dedicate every single resource, every single man to making sure they do not control a pylon at the end of a round, and if possible, to making sure that you control one pylon or both. So there's a lot of on-the-fly strategic decision-making which varies, right? In Novar Coast, the decision-making is always the same. We need to control 2 points. In the Civil War, you're looking at the score and you're kind of like, we need to control 2 up until the point when we have enough points that they need a 3 cap, at which time we don't need to worry about it anymore and we can successfully just worry about one thing. It's similar to that. It's really important to keep aware of the score and based on that to decide, am I going to just defend? Am I going to just attack? Or am I going to try to gain points in the center of the map? So those are the things I would say are the key, really important strategic notes that we can say right now. What little subtleties and little kind of strategies people will come up with, that will evolve over time. But for now, what we know is this. Number one, make sure you capture at least one pylon per round. And make sure, absolutely certain, that you do not sacrifice that pylon, that you always defend it, and that you always maintain control of it. Number two, while you control at least one pylon and you are in mid, try to make sure that you're more concerned with playing defensive of mid as opposed to offensive. That doesn't mean don't try to run energy to your node. What it means is, when faced with a decision, do I grab energy and move it to my node, or do I stand here and continue to fight and try to hold the other team off? Holding the other team off is more important. And 3, be absolutely positive you're aware of the score situation. Based on the score and what the score will be at the end of the round, decide, should I be concerned with being in mid or not? If the score is such that all I need to do to win is to control my pylon, get back and defend, because that means that the other team is going to be rushing your pylon and putting everything they can into taking it from you. Are we in a situation where it's not good enough to have only one pylon and we need to take the second one? If so, make sure you're pressuring that pylon. So that seems to me what we should be doing for Ancient Hypergates right now. Hopefully we will figure out more little points about this map as time goes forward. But that's it for the time being. Thanks, guys. Have fun.